To me, design is actually problem solving. Taking a problem and looking at it from all angles, understanding the constraints that you're under, and creating a solution in an elegant way.
Design is thinking about holistically what you want to accomplish in a project, is to think about what the end result is, but to give yourself the freedom to get to that end result in any number of ways.
The design process to me, and really to Haworth, it starts out early looking at what we call business performances. What are those things that you're wanting to achieve with a design project?
Everybody has problems to solve. Our customers do, our industry does, and so it aligns right with what we do. We've continued to hone our point of view on design, to harness that and to take our global perspective and the learnings we have that fused with science, and we bring that into the design process and really approach it from that perspective.
The company made a conscious decision in 2004 to really focus on being more design-oriented. So this was really about creating a space here in our headquarters and making sure our headquarters really showed that commitment to design and what design was like.
We had technology challenges. We were set up in a way that didn't foster or encourage collaboration.
So as we thought about how do you change the culture of the company, how do you align the entire organization around the strategy of the company, it was clear that our space, which is really what we do, had to be a critical part of that.
There was a really big cultural change going on with the organization. We'd really determined that we needed to be more outward focused, more market focused, more creative and more collaborative in our processes. So this space was really meant to help support that change and really push it forward so that every single member that was in the space every day, that was reinforced in everything that they saw.
What was really unique here was our leadership played a significant role. From the early process, Dick Haworth himself made himself very visible and very vocal about the reasons why this change was necessary, why it was good for the company, but why it was also going to be good for the individuals who work here.
So having a well thought out process, a well thought out design that could deliver a solution to our own employees that made us more productive, more effective, and more aligned with our strategy was really the objective that we had in creating this new space.
There's so much that the organization wants it to do, but it still helps to hone that down and to boil it down to the essence and really come up with 2 to 5 drivers that are your North Star, your guiding stars. And that's one thing we did. And I also think that was very helpful as we came to different decision points to make sure this project did what we wanted it to do, not only today, but for generations to come.
The first of these 4 project objectives was something that we called a cultural change. How can we start to transition or shift our corporate culture to one that maybe is less focused on structure and policies and procedures, and maybe towards a corporate culture that is trying to embrace more creativity, more collaboration, and even more competitiveness in the industry. The second project driver was one of sustainability, or one of a sustainable design solution. How can we take this 25-plus-year-old building and recycle, repurpose, basically divert all of the building materials that we knew we would have to remove from going into the landfill? If we can achieve that objective of 100% recycled, repurposed, diverted materials, then truly anybody, anywhere, who may be undergoing a similar type of renovation or project could do the same thing. The third project driver was one of an upgraded or an exceptional client experience. I would say in the past that we had a really great customer experience element here, but we really wanted to take that to the next level and say, how can we now take this project, this building, and use it as a way to be inspiring? We want people to come into the building and have that first impression of wow. And finally, the fourth project driver was one of really leveraging our workplace research, understanding both, again, the organizational culture, but also how different groups of people work together and how they also work as individuals. The truly dynamic part of the process is in this pre-design section. You don't design anything. It's truly the research and analysis portion.
So for us, what was really helpful was to bring all of the different knowledge bases, all the different participants, the architects, the designers, the contractors, get our input from our employees, and have a really comprehensive view of what we could accomplish, and then to use the logic of our design to go down a path that got us to the end result most effectively.
Early on, we conducted a survey that went out to all corporate members. It asked various questions about how you work and where you work and whom you interact with.
What limits your performance at work? How happy, how satisfied are you? What would make your engagement higher?
The top 2 responses from that early survey in 2004 was that our members asked for greater access to daylight and exterior views. So those 2 learnings really helped shape the architecture, but it also helped us determine some of the interior design opportunities that we had to deploy here.
Communication when change is happening is so important, because if you are addressing it head on, if you're answering the questions, you're talking about the fears, there's no room for rumor, there's no room for misplaced worries.
We actually created a project room, and in the project room we really displayed a lot of those ongoing project drivers. So we displayed our goals around culture, we displayed our goals around brand, we kind of kept all those things, and that's where we really met all the time. And so that really helped us stay focused.
We had a very collaborative environment with our architects, our designers, our contractors, our internal members, and we had a vision from our leadership that said this is where we want to go.
We wanted the building to be beautiful and iconic, but we didn't want it to be sort of ostentatious. We really wanted it to feel very real and natural. So we chose to make statements through things like the beautiful glass that actually had a purpose, rather than looking at, high-end finishes in the bathrooms or something like that. So there were these trade-offs in where we were willing to put the money, and we tried to make the decisions that would have a purpose rather than just ornamental kinds of things.
Bringing all those pieces together let us create a design for the interior that guaranteed that we would see the return on what we invested.
Our goal was 100% recycled, repurposed, diverted materials, and we came to 98%. We have grown our real estate footprint by 20%, so we're larger overall by 20%, but because of these features that are in place, we have actually realized an energy reduction of 10%. So we're using 10% less energy to heat and cool the building.
And what's really interesting to me is sustainability is a function of the thought process, of being conscious of the different trade-offs that you're trying to make, and making the best holistic decision.
We have found that through our research, every single marker, brand marker that we measure with clients and with customers goes up when they've been in one of our spaces. And it's certainly true here at headquarters as well. We've seen tremendous market share growth in the flooring area and in our movable walls area, which is, those 2 products in particular are really key to the flexibility that this building has. When we built the building, we built it knowing that we would be bringing clients here, talking to them about workplace knowledge, and we actually thought that the number of them would be big in the beginning and then go down. It's actually gone up over time. But one of the wonderful things is it's allowed us to relate to our clients on a different level. Most of the clients that we work with are going through the same process that we went through, right? So when they go through and talk about what their concerns are in their project, maybe they're moving their headquarters or changing, we can really relate to them. And we can tell them very honestly, for us, what worked and didn't work.
So what was so interesting to me was to see how this process evolved and how all the participants came in with a very consistent mindset that the investment we're going to make in the space has to have a return. And we've been able to really see very clearly that having that cohesive design up front, having a clear idea of what we wanted to accomplish, having the entire design geared toward accomplishing that objective, was able to deliver the results that we expected. And I'm happy to say as the CFO that we did see those results, and we're seeing them every day compounding on that investment that we made.
I think it's really important to know what your goals are, understand your culture, understand your people, know what you want to get out of it in the end. One decision you make today will affect your next 3 choices. And so knowing what those big goals are up front and clearly defining them and clearly reinforcing them and keeping them in front of you are key.
Collaboration is critical, that participating with our contractors, our architects, our designers, getting input on a regular basis with our employees is critical to the process.
Communicate early, to communicate often, and to continue to reinforce the behavior you want. A new building will not change your culture. It will help, but without reinforcement, culture will go back.
Know yourself, your values, have your strategy and how you're going to evolve it over time, and bring in the whole stakeholder group early and give them direct line of sight to your values and your corporate strategy. And then listen to them. We believe that a good value system adhered to over time can have superior operating results. And we needed a facility that reflected those values. And so as you go through our 6 values, this building positively impacted each and every one of those. I'll give you a few examples. Customers. So it is an experience. People have come back. Visits are up. Members. Our turnover is down in terms of member retention being strengthened. Integrity, being able to have spaces that allow people to collaborate openly and share the good and the hard news with each other and enable that in a nicer way. In terms of continuous improvement, 90% of our members having access to daylight and views. In terms of results, literally 20% more space, 10% less energy. Our water usage, both internally and on the site plan from an irrigation perspective with the green roof, have been improved. And finally, the impact on our world. 0 waste to landfill. I think this building to some degree inspired our members to act on that. That was driven by our members, not by a top-down request. And so I think those are just some examples, and there are literally, for each of those values, dozens more. And bottom line is our business has been strengthened, we're gaining market share, and we're enjoying improved rates of earnings. So it's been, I think, a strong contributor to that.